Okay, so this time we're going to be serious. And we're going to talk about a topic that I got a suggestion from on Twitter. Um, Possibly a second one as well. We're going to talk about controlling boyfriends and girlfriends and possibly long distance relationships. Now, both of those topics are very personally hard for me to talk about, but I think it's a good thing to be covered. I was in a controlling relationship for almost 3 years, and I think it's the same in every relationship that ends up controlling. It starts off where it's fine, it's happy, it's great, and it's usually you fall really, really, really fast, really hard. You're caught off guard and you automatically think you're like, oh, I'm gonna be with this person for a long time. And that may not necessarily be true, but in my case it was. I fell really, really hard fast. And then gradually things just like started getting bad. We would fight all the time and we just over stupid things. And he started telling me what I could and couldn't do. And I feel like, in a way, I'm guilty of being controlling as well, because after he started controlling me, I did it back. And I don't think that that's something I should have done. I'm not so proud of that. But again, I don't know if when you're in that situation, can you not end up doing it? Like would anybody else in this situation do it? And how do you make someone understand that they're in a controlling relationship and they need to get out? Because I know while I was in it, my mom told me time and time again over the first 2 years that I needed to get out of it. And I was like, no, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, me and my family didn't get along because of this guy. I lost contact with my family, basically. He controlled me, and like that's all I knew. Because I know when you're outside of the relationship, and I've watched my friends go through it, I'm like, why are you with him? That makes no sense. But when I was with this person, he just, it was blinding. When you're in it, it's so different. You can't just be like, okay, well, I see you're being mean to me and you're controlling me and I need to get away from you. Like, that's not how it is. You're like, oh, but he's just having a hard time, or this is why, or this is why, and it's okay, things are gonna get better, we talked about it, it's fine, it's gonna be okay. Well, it's not okay. And physical and mental and abuse are both nothing to joke about. And when you control someone, I think it is mental abuse. And for example, the ex-boyfriend I was with, he would tell me what I could and couldn't wear, who I could and couldn't see, and he would go so far to call me a whore. And I'm like, he was the first person I had ever really been with, and I don't understand how he could call me a whore, but he did, and he always made me feel like shit. And so when he told me, I can't talk to guys, and so I was like, you know what, fine, you can't have any girlfriends then, you can't go and talk to girls. And I feel bad for that now. I think that's wrong, and I see that, and I will never do that to another person. But while I was in it, that's how I felt I was making things fair. Not to say that, okay, so if you have a little fight over something, don't be like, oh, well, you're controlling me, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. But I think a lot of people, should just step back when you're in a relationship and look at this and say, is this healthy? Like, obviously, it's not going to be totally non-biased or biased or whatever. It's hard because you're in it, but maybe ask some friends, what do you think? And just, you have to realize, and as hard as it is, even if you love them, that's not a healthy relationship. And normally, you hope so bad that it can change, but it's not. It's most of the time it's not going to change. I'm not saying it's impossible, no, but it's not likely. You know, you can't just be like, oh, well, we talked it over and he's gonna be better. Yeah, for how long? You know, a couple weeks, couple days, couple months, and you're back to it. You know, back to fighting, back to being miserable and controlling. But it's almost like you get addicted to the misery. Like, you can't walk away, and you don't know why. You're hurting so much all the time, and you're just like, why? You know, but I love this person. You really have to think about what's best for yourself, and I'm one of those people that can't. I hate hurting people, and I don't, you know, I like to put people before I put myself, and it took me 3 years to finally put myself first and be like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And me and that person are pretty good friends now, you know? But, I mean, it doesn't mean you have to hate each other, but sometimes it's just the mix of the relationship, or that person isn't ready for a relationship because they've had a lot of trauma and that they need to deal with on their own. As corny as it sounds, you have to learn to love yourself and to understand yourself before you can be in a relationship that where you love that person and you understand that person, because you can't compensate for what you don't have personally. Thinking on the aspect of long distance relationships, you know, they're a struggle, and to anyone who hasn't begun to understand themselves, I wouldn't suggest it. You know, it's I can't stress it enough, as corny as it sounds. You have to know and love yourself before you can try anything, especially a long distance relationship, because you have to trust yourself and trust that person, and it's really hard. I've been there. I'm there. It's painful almost every day. It's doable. It is. But you really have to love that person, and you have to understand that just because they aren't there with you right next to you, that doesn't mean that they're not there, and that things you do aren't going to hurt them. You can't do something and think, oh, well, they're never going to find out. Hopefully you have a moral standard and a conscience that would make you tell them. Or, you know, it's just, you have to really think about that other person as if they were right next to you. And you have to have a lot of strength mentally, sometimes physically, but, you know, it's hard. And to any person who views my video or follows me on Twitter or anything, you know, feel free to message me. I've been a lot of places, and I would love to help many people. And or if you have anything that, you know, you think that I don't understand, that you're listening to this video and you're like, okay, well, but she doesn't understand if this happens. Maybe I don't. You know, I haven't been everywhere. I haven't been in everybody's shoes. But from my experience, this is how I feel. So if you need help, or you want to tell me your story or criticize what I'm saying, feel free. I would love to hear it. That's what I want to do with the rest of my life, is help people. So absolutely, I would love to. Sorry that this is such a serious video. I don't know how many of these I will do. We'll see how the feedback is on it, you know, even though I don't have much feedback on my other ones yet. But yeah, hope you still enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.